Now you can hear me. Okay, let's see. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Yay! All right, hang in there with me for just a second. I love you guys to pieces. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just let me get my notes up here on the screen and I'll be happy that we're here. I just want to thank all of you for being here with me today. This is really super. We have somewhere around 1,000 people registered for this call, so I'm really excited that you're here, and you're here to learn the real reason that you may not have the practice that you want. So in just a second, we're going to get going. I just want to welcome all of you that are here. Thank you for being in the chat with me. That is like so super. And let me just get my notes up here. Thanks for bearing with me. It's kind of hard to be doing all of this at the same time. But you know, one of the things I want to say is when I'm working with therapists and coaches, it touches my heart because when things don't go perfectly, you guys are the ones that are there to help me and save me and be kind to me. So thank you. Put in the chat who all's here. That would be really great. Trish, I'm trying to get in there. Just hang on one second, please. I'm trying to make it perfect for you. I wish we had, you know, it's not like I have a bunch of people here helping me. So please put in the chat where you're calling from and who you are. And would love to say hi. So we've got Trish and Henry and all of you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure that if you can join us in the chat. We'd really love to have you there. The chat gives you an opportunity to talk to each other and connect with one another at the same time. So that is really super. Okay, I'm going to try one more time here. Just get one more thing. Today, again, we're going to be talking about how to build the... I'm going to scratch that. We're going to be talking about why you may not be having the results that you want with your practice. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm very excited. Let's see, we have Debbie from St. Louis and Judith. Thank you. And we've got people from all over California. We have 110 of you right here, right now. So yay, I'm so California. We have 110 of you right here, right now. So yay, I'm so okay, sorry about that. Mwah. Mexico City, we have South Africa, I know we have here, and lots of different places all over the world, so thank you. So let me just adjust the camera a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Yay! Okay, let's get started. Thank you for bearing with me here. And again, I'm delighted for all of you that have joined us and are taking a part in this. And, you know, here's what I want to say. I want to say that there are a high percentage of businesses that will not make it. And you know this. You hear this all the time on the news, that there's a high percentage of small businesses that don't make it. And, you know, we kind of sit back and we say, I wonder why that is. And it's really easy right now to blame the economy. But I want to share with you that I don't think it really is the economy. Now, the economy has an impact. I totally agree with you that the economy has an impact. But I'm going to ask you to suspend that belief for the moment, and as I always say, sit back, maybe with a piece of paper and a pencil. Go ahead and chat if you want in the chat and share that with me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to suspend the idea that the economy is the problem. Because I'm going to talk about, I said 3, but I think I'm going to talk about 4 reasons why I think that we may not be having the practice that you want. All right, so today I'm going to be Mama Bear. I used to say that I'm Naggy Den Mother Coach, and I still think I am Naggy Den Mother Coach, but I'm also going to be Mama Bear. And Mama Bear is going to share with you what I know to be true, all right? And I need you to have this information. So I'm going to ask you if we can maybe tickle past those defenses today and really listen with your heart and your whole soul. And are you on the right call? Let's talk about that. You are on the right call today. If you really like working for yourself and you're really wanting to continue to work for yourself or to start working for yourself because you like the idea of choosing your own hours, your own clients, you like being your own boss, you really like being responsible for your own destiny. If that's you, you're on the right call. You're also on the right call today if perhaps you've started marketing and you've maybe had some success, but it's not where you want it to be. And you're kind of wondering, what is it I could be doing or not doing that might be causing the problem? And I'm going to tell you that in this call today, we're not going to be talking about community marketing and internet marketing. I have an entire conference that I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit later about that, because it's an amazing conference, and this is a preview call to the conference. But the kind of content that I'm going to be delivering today is how you're going to be hearing this type of content throughout the conference. So I wanted to give you a flavor. So I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy this today. Maybe that you're not sure where to start. You've got all these marketing ideas and you're feeling kind of confused in your head, and there's just so much what I'm now calling clutter. Too much marketing information, it feels like clutter. And maybe that's sort of stopping you in some way. So today we're going to look at why you aren't having the practice that you might want. And if you are having the practice, then feel free to pitch in and share with me if you've already got the practice that you want. So I just want to say hi to all of you that are on the webcast. I can see Anne's here from Austin, and Trish is saying she likes my new haircut. Thank you, Trish. Sue from Palo Alto, and Chloe's here, and Mary Smith is here, and Dave's here. Woohoo! So I'm just very excited. So let's get right to it. We're going to talk about the fact that marketing is hard work, and you know this. And I get touched. From the bottom of my heart, I wish I could make it easier, and wish I could make it less work. And actually, that's kind of my mission, is to make it easier and more fun for you. But I know that one of the reasons that it's hard work, hi Anusha, one of the reasons that it's hard work is that there are 4 constraints. There are actually 4 natural resources, personal resources that you have that are actually somewhat limited. And I'd love to be the law of attraction person that tells you that there's no limits to everything that you can have, but in reality there are some limits. So we must make sure that we use these personal resources in the best way that we possibly can. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but before I do, I want to tell you that I think this call that I'm doing today is probably the most important call I've ever done. And I don't say that lightly. You don't hear me say that very often. This may be the second time I've ever said it. And I think that it's one of the most important calls I've ever done, because it's really getting at the heart of the matter. And if you take what we talk about today, and I'm going to give you lots of questions to ask yourself, and if you ask yourself those questions and you make some choices based on your answers, I think that the success that you want is going to be right there in your hand, in your heart. Okay, so let's go for that. So at the end of the call, you tell me if you think that this is one of the best calls I've ever done, or at least one of the most important. All right, and impactful. That's my goal. I've spent the last 15 years of my life trying to impact your life, and your success is my mission, as you know, and that means that sometimes I have to kind of tell you the hard stuff along with the fun, good stuff. And so today there'll be a smattering of both of those in there. So as therapists and coaches, I hope you'll hang in here with me, and I think you understand probably what I'm trying to say before I say it. But let's get down to those 4 resources, okay? Those 4 natural, personal resources that you have, and they are time, energy, focus, and money. Time, energy, focus, and money. How you spend those resources, how you choose to spend those resources, ultimately determines your success. Now, that's the underlying message of this whole talk today, and that is how you choose to spend those resources ultimately determines your success. Okay? So I hope you're on board with me. And then the other thing I wanted to say is one of the reasons that so many small businesses fail is because few people are willing to put in the effort that it requires to be a success. Now, I know that you want to be a success, and I think it's a shame that our graduate programs didn't teach us the amount of effort it takes to be in business. But they trained you to be a therapist or a coach. They did not train you to be a business major or start a new business. So they're very different skills. And so one of the things I want to do today with this call is to help you recognize those 4 personal natural resources that you have so that you can choose to spend them in the way that will give you the best result. And along with that, I want to help you align yourself with the idea of marketing. Because we often look at my business is psychotherapy, my business is coaching, and marketing is this thing off to the side that I may do until I get enough clients. Marketing is an integral part of any business. You need an ongoing inflow of clients, right? We all do. So in order to do that, the way that that happens is with marketing your practice in a way that is aligned with your personality and in a way that is focused on who you are, who your community is, or your tribe, if you will, and how the best way is to make the best use of your time. And again, that's why we're going to talk about the four resources again. So we're talking about time, energy, money, and focus. So we're going to get started right now. But how you spend those ultimately determines your success. So if you're thinking it's the economy, yes, I think the economy has an impact, but it's not going to be as important as how you spend those four resources. And then I'm going to say one more thing before we get started with those four, and that is, I read this thing in this book this weekend, and it said, it doesn't matter how much you know about marketing your practice, it matters what you do. And it was actually bigger than marketing your practice, but I kind of thought that went really well with our talk today. So it doesn't matter what you know, it matters what you do. All right? Which is really good news when you think about it, because if your success lies in how well you choose what you do and how well you manage those personal natural resources, then what that means is your success is ultimately in your heart, in your hands. All right. Summer says that they trained us to be employees, not entrepreneurs. And Summer, quite honestly, you were lucky if you got trained to be an employee. Most of us just got trained to sit in the chair. But you're right, we never learned how to market our services. So for those of you that haven't heard me before, know that marketing, I define it, is a service to your community, because you're letting people know in the community, excuse me, I have to get a drink here. You're letting people in the community know what kind of pain you help to resolve. And you're letting people in the community know that there's help out there. All right? So that marketing your practice is a service to the community. And we're not talking about icky selling here. Please, you've never heard me talk about that. If you've heard me for 15 years, as long as I've been around. What we're doing is we're letting people know that there's hope and that there's help and there's a place for healing. Okay? That's what I want you to remember. And so when you choose marketing activities, you're going to choose those that fit with your personality. All right? That said, I once had a client who desperately wanted to get married, and she told me that one day she woke up and realized that she was a preschool teacher, and as a preschool teacher, she was probably not going to meet many eligible men if all she did was get up in the morning and go teach at her preschool and come home. So in order sometimes to get what you want, you're going to have to go outside your comfort zone. All right? And so it's about learning how to stretch with your comfort zone. So, great. So let's talk about energy first. All right? Energy is something I'm not sure many people talk about in terms of marketing your practice, but you're going to want to be able to manage that energy so that you can do the long haul. You know, marathoners, I run half marathons, or used to before my hips and my knees started going out on me. But I know that when I would run a long distance, there was times when I would walk. There were times when I would walk and I would have my drink and I'd have my little energy packet gel that I would be slurping down as I was walking and drinking my water. And then after I finished my little nutrition break, I would take off running again. That is a lot about managing your energy. They actually have done some studies, and those of you that are runners, you know what I'm talking about. They've actually done some studies that for people doing long distances, that if you take walk breaks, you can actually end up beating your time as if you ran the whole time. So energy-wise, it's really important that we take breaks. But when I was running my half marathons, I did not sit down and have a massage or get my nails done, because the goal was to finish, okay? So we need to make sure that we manage our energy in a way that means we keep moving on some level. Okay, we do take a break, but we keep moving, all right? One of the hard parts about marketing is that it's ongoing. There's no end to it, if you will, because it's part of your business. It's just like paying your bills and doing the clinical work that you do. There's no end. But we do need to take vacations, just like you take a vacation from your clinical practice, you want to take a vacation from your marketing practice. And the nice part about our work, based on a lot of other professions, is that our work tends to be seasonal and cyclical. There are certain times of the year, for many of us, that we have lulls. You can either choose to use that lull as a marketing oomph, or you can choose to use that lull as time off. All right? But you can choose that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, make sure that you have enough energy to sustain you over the long haul, because this isn't a short-term adventure that you're on. It really isn't. One of the things I like to say is that you're responsible for your own growth. You're responsible for your own business growth, your own personal growth, and as such, you're going to need to manage your energy. All right, so I just want you to think about that. Also, part of energy management is regularly being inspired and stimulated. So who in your life is there for you who can stimulate you in terms of stretching and thinking bigger and broader about yourself? I know that my coach, Andrea Lee, I think it was about 5 years ago, she said, I think you need to do a virtual conference. And it took me 2 years to actually run our first Therapist Leadership Conference. And it was just I wasn't ready to stretch, but her encouragement over that long haul got us to where we are, and now we've done, 6 or 7 virtual conferences. Now we're doing them via video. So it's that who is in your life to stretch you and stimulate you and keep you inspired. I regularly meet with my colleagues. I know some of you do too. We have some of the Casey alumni groups I've been hearing about. I love that. I know that it's like who in your life inspires you, and I get together with some of my colleagues, and we talk about what is inspiring us these days. What are we working on? What are we pulling toward? And what do we want to be held accountable for? We encourage each other in that way. I have 2 or 3 people that I meet with on a regular basis to do that. So I have I have 2 coaches. One is a business coach, and one, quite honestly, is a money coach, because I had some money issues I've been working through. And then I have my circles, as Todd Henry talks about in The Accidental Creative. I have my circles with Ellen Bader and Elizabeth Marshall and some other people that I have actually been in coaching with. Either they've been my coach or we've been in coaching programs together where somebody else was the coach, and we get together and we share inspirationally what we would like to be held accountable to. That is what keeps my energy going, because private practice is a very lonely place, as we know. And when the only people that you get to talk to are the people who are paying you for psychotherapy or coaching, we really need more. So I really want you to think about who inspires you, and make sure that you have that scheduled into your calendar. Now, it seems paradoxical. We schedule something to raise our energy that would take up time, but quite honestly, in the long run, I think that's going to help you. Okay, good. So first natural resource is energy. Second one is marketing focus. You want to both have the big picture view and the tactical, what am I going to do today view. So that might look like a quarterly goal. How many clients do I want to get in the next quarter? And then in order to do that, what do I need to do this month? And what do I need to do this week in order to make that happen? You know, some of us gets in the overview view, and we're stuck there, and we say, okay, I want 5 clients in the next quarter, but we don't have any plan. We don't have any tactical way of getting that, or even measuring if we're doing the right thing. Others of us are down on the ground saying, I need a Facebook business page. I need a Facebook business page. But we're not really asking ourselves, does that make sense? Is that the right marketing activity for us? I know some of you in the accountability program have spent, I know there was one gal that spent 3 months making a Facebook business page. Now, I think it's a good idea to have a Facebook business page, but do I think that's the best way to get clients? No. So if your goal is to get X number of clients in the next week or month, am I doing the activities that make sense? Years ago, before I met Bob, I was dating this guy named Joe, and Joe was a really interesting guy. He was an ER doctor in sports and a sports medicine doctor, but also he was a private pilot. And as a private pilot, you know, when I was dating him, I had all these visions. You know, I'm dating a doctor, and those of you who know doctors know that maybe I was a little like crazy about thinking that way. But it was like, okay, I will be flying and jetting off to have lunch in exotic places. So we would go to the airport and get in his private plane. It took us about an hour to do the pre-flight takeoff because he would check everything. And we'd get in the air, and I'd think, wow, we're going to Monterey, California or something. And we'd get in the air, and we'd circle the airport, and then we'd come back down to the landing strip, and we would land again. And then as soon as our wheels hit the ground, we would then take off. Pilots call this a touch and go, and he was practicing landing and taking off. Well, when I wasn't doing it, he actually let me do it a couple of times, but when I wasn't doing it, it wasn't a lot of fun. It wasn't like jetting off to an exotic place. But yet, that is an interesting kind of metaphor when you think about it, because you have the 30,000-foot view, or whatever it is up there, you know, the big view of the airport and all the planes that were coming in and where you fit in the rotation, as well as what is the tactical ground maneuvers to get those landing wheels down, and then what does it take to get back up into the air. This is what you want to think about when you're doing your practice. You want to have a focus. So we said energy was resource number 1, focus is resource number 2. You want to have focus so that you're looking alternately at the 30,000-foot view, and also down in the ground. Now, some of you are saying that it's hard to sort out the activities. This is where the filtering questions come in. All right? The way that you decide what is the right marketing activity is, who am I trying to market to? What do they say their problem is? Where are they looking for help? What is it they're looking for help for from their perspective? Then you can decide. So if you're a sex therapist, probably doing speaking engagements isn't the best way to get clients, because if I have a sexual problem, I'm probably not going to go sit with my neighbors from church and home and all that. But so I might want to do writing or internet stuff. If I am marketing a singles group, I might want to do speaking engagements at churches or places of worship where they have singles organizations. I might want to do talks there, is what I'm trying to say. So the right activities, there's no perfect activity. So if you're going there, like, let's just give that up, okay? But the right activities, the best bang for your time, your marketing time, has to do with what it is your clients are looking for. I say don't sell ice skates in the desert. If you live primarily in a place where the average age is 50 and above, you're probably not going to offer test-taking anxiety reduction as a specialty. All right? So what is it your people are looking for? The alternate way to look at that is, what is the big mission that you have? What is it you've learned that you need other people to know? And who needs to know that? And where are they hanging out? And how can you serve them? So that's how we pick the marketing activities. It's from the 30-foot view, the 3,000-foot view, as well as down on the ground. All right. So Trish says, an example, her ideal client is 60-ish, has a child with a serious mental disorder such as schizophrenia or bipolar. But at speaking engagements, this person might not want to disclose that. You know, that's an interesting one, Trish, because there might be some hospitals that have support groups for schizophrenia or bipolar that might indeed want you to speak there. But probably going down to your church may or may not. It might actually be worth a shot, because a lot of times people do know that somebody in the family has a mental illness like that, a serious mental illness. So, A Therapy for You says, I call the activity, what is your way of delivering? Yeah, what is your way of connecting? So let's keep going. What I want you to do is, and the way that you can do this evaluation process for yourself, I call this a sorting conversation. In fact, I just did a video that's going to come out Thursday on this, and tomorrow, I guess. And it's all about, remember in the Harry Potter books where they had the sorting hat, and the young kids came in and they put them on the stool and they put the sorting hat on their heads, and then the sorting hat decided which of the homes that they would go to live in there on the campus. Well, we need a sorting hat, or to have a sorting conversation with all of the marketing activities. So one of the ways you can do this is to get somebody to help you. So this is where, again, coaching or peer group coaching comes in. One of the things I'm going to tell you in a few minutes is that when we talk about money, has to do with where you want to spend your money. But one of the things that's always helped me is having a coach, because that coach has really helped me figure out who is my ideal client, what is the best way to market to them. And I'll tell you, I've had coaches that have said to me, Casey, you can make a lot more money if you expanded, and maybe you've already given the therapist all they need. Maybe you should move off into lawyers and other kinds of service professionals. Maybe you could make more money, or maybe they'd be more receptive. My heart is with you guys, okay? I am here. My calling is to help therapists and coaches. So my niche to me, or niche, depending on where you are in the world, is very, very clear. And I want it to be that clear for you. Now, if you're just starting out, it may not be that clear. And you know what? That's okay. Just try to use language that your ideal client would want. So if you're looking, it's not women, I work with women, but maybe women who are struggling with relationships, which, by the way, I think is all women, but you get my drift. Okay. That said, Mama Bear Coach is coming out now, and Mama Bear Coach is going to tell you that you do not have to wait till Goldilocks says it's just right. It doesn't have to be just perfect. You go out and you try something, and you find out if you're enjoying it, if you're attracting, if people seem interested. All right? This is a lifelong process, and you're going to change that specialty every couple of years, probably anyway. So don't get too invested in worrying too much about something. All right? So some people are already also suggesting that, Jill says, Trish, you could train the clergy to refer to you when you see a family member who's struggling with a serious mental illness. I would get on the hospital's lists for outpatient referrals for the families. I would offer, quite honestly, to do a group at an inpatient hospital or at a hospital to see if they'd be open to having you do a family group for free, with the expectation that you would get clients from that. So those are just some things. So great. Anne says, give up the Goldilocks, it's got to be just right perspective. Absolutely, absolutely. So we've talked about, see, again, this is really cool. It's not the economy that's not the reason you don't have the practice that you want. It's because I don't think we're managing these resources in the way that we need to. And the first one is energy. We talked about how to do that. Focus. Every activity you do, I want you to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this closest to the money? Is really giving my business card to my nail gal, is that really 60 minutes of marketing? Okay? Some of us are counting that as 60 minutes of marketing because we talked about our practice while we got our nails done. Yes, it is marketing, but I don't think it's as focused marketing. How likely is that to get you a client? These are the kind of questions you want to ask yourself. And you want to spend your time and your energy in the places that are the most likely to give you them. I could either do a speaking engagement in front of 50 ideal clients, or I could talk to my nail person hoping that she will potentially, maybe one day, figure it out and give me a referral. All right? Let's look at what is most likely. All right? So Heart Sound says, I wish there was a list of activity suggestions to inspire the day-to-day activities. You know, that's a good point. I think I will come up with a list of that, okay? And in fact, part of our new Sapphire program, for those of you that are thinking about it, is going to be a tip of the day or a marketing quote or something to inspire you on a daily basis. The other thing about the Sapphire program, which is our accountability program, is that you do have the opportunity to connect with each other. All right? And, you know, they say learning happens better in groups, and stretching, I know, happens better in groups. All right? So, let's keep going. So, ask yourself, why am I doing this marketing activity? What am I not doing? What am I avoiding? And why am I avoiding it? And is there a good reason I'm not doing it? Is there a good reason I'm avoiding it? What am I afraid of? And what would happen if I did something that I was afraid of? What would the upside of doing something I was afraid of be? What is the downside of not doing it? I really invite you to once a week take an hour with these questions and ask yourself these questions, and then prepare your daily activities based on the answers to the questions that I'm asking you. All right? Can you imagine what you could get done if you ask yourself those things on a daily basis? or ask yourself on a weekly, and then set that up on a daily basis, you would be so productive, and you would have and not only productive, effective. Okay? Effective. Awesome. Okay, so we talked about energy, we talked about marketing focus. Now we're going to talk about the two that are, I think, the most problematic. And those are time and money. And these are ones that we always say we don't have enough of, right? Okay, respectfully and regrettably, I'm going to say that's our go-to excuse. Just like when your client says, I can't afford it, all right? That's the go-to excuse. It doesn't really mean they can't afford it. It's just the first thing that comes into their brain when they're confronted with something that feels a little uncomfortable. So if you think about time and money, they look finite, don't they? But there's an old saying that says, if you really want to know where somebody's priorities are, look at how they spend their money and how they spend their time. Now that may seem a little harsh, but hopefully it's a question. How am I spending my time? How am I spending my money? Hopefully those are questions that can allow us to make sure that our actions are aligning with what's really, really important for us. So let's look at those two things, time and money. Time. I recently read in a book that we spend over 50 hours a month, 50 hours a year checking email. I'm not talking about responding to email. I'm not talking about doing actions that are requested via email. I'm talking about checking. It takes about 10 seconds to check, and then if you add up the number of times that many of us check our emails and put that over a year, it can be over 50 hours. What could you do with over 50 hours? What could you do? Time. Time. How much time do you have? You know, remember that Michelangelo, I'm not an art person. I don't know a lot about this, but remember they had that sculpture and they said, how did you know? I think it was David. How did you know, like, how to make the sculpture? And he said, I took the stone and chipped away what wasn't David or what wasn't the sculpture. What you say no to defines the time that you have left to say yes to something. So every time you say yes to something, whether that's something like spending time with your kids that's fun and enjoyable, or friends, or whether that's self-care time, every time that you say yes to time, to a commitment, that is time that you do not have to put toward building your practice. So I'm getting a little mama bear here on you too, and that is, a lot of you are telling me that you don't have time to market your practice, and I get it. I totally get it that some of you have daytime jobs and you're trying to market your practice at night or on the weekends. You have children, you have partners, you have pets, you have lives, you have hobbies, you have self-care. All of those things take time. I get that. You know, it's funny, I just had another thought. This wasn't part of my plan in the presentation, but my husband Bob's retired. Many of you have spoken to him, hopefully. Hopefully, he's our customer service guy. We call him the head honcho of customer service. When Bob retired, we kind of had this joke that we have no idea how he had the time to run his life before he retired. Because now it can take the whole day to run the errands, do the laundry, do the floors, do the grocery shopping, do the cleaning, doctor's appointments, all of that, take the car in. How did he do that when he was working a full-time job? You just do. Single moms, you know, they just do. A lot of times people say, well, how do you do it? And it's like, well, what's the option? You just do it. I think that what we want to do fills up the available time that we have. So if we've put building a private practice, remember we said before marketing is hard work, and it's human nature to resist hard work. And I don't mean hard work. I mean it's human nature to, I'm trying to think of the metaphor, but it's like we don't want to push the boulder uphill. And if we have to push the boulder uphill, that's hard. I'd rather do something easier. So it's easier to say yes to the commitments that we already have, even if there may be commitments that we don't want, or maybe if there are things that we've always done and we just have never said no to. Maybe it's things that we don't even think about. I know that I'm going to smile, I'm telling on myself, I can shop for shoes or purses on the internet, and I can look up at the time, and it's an hour or half an hour or even 15 minutes. What if I had spent that time marketing my practice? What if I had spent that time thinking about those questions I just gave you, thinking about where's the best place for my client to hang out and meet them? All right. So Heart Sound says, it seems rather mysterious, but it adds up to momentum, to the resistance. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, is that it's human nature to go the path of least resistance. And if marketing is hard work, we'll try to find something that feels easier, even if it may not be in line with what we want. So this is, earlier I said, what I want you to do is to get your marketing in alignment with your priorities. So, y'all have had the client who has come in and said, I want to lose weight, right? And you ask them, do you track your food intake? And they'll say, well, no, but I don't eat much anyway. Remember that? I hardly eat. What do you eat? Well, it's that quart of ice cream before bed, but other than that, I don't eat the whole day. You've had that client who has said, that client, you wonder if they really want to do the hard work that it takes to lose the weight. And it's not like we're judging them, yes, you should lose weight. We love them wherever they are. But if their goal is to lose weight, it's frustrating when they're not doing what we know would work to help them lose the weight. All right? Now this is where we get into this place called denial. And I don't know about you, but this is one of the reasons I've always had a coach, is because the biggest blind spot I have is my thoughts and my actions. And I can tell stories. I can tell you stories about how the economy is causing our practices to go lower. Amber says my Texas accent is coming out. It is, because I'm really, really passionate about this. And you know, when I get back to the mama bear, it's just so important. Okay, it's just so important that we be honest with ourselves. And so the guy who says, I desperately want to get married but will not leave and go ever to a singles event, and says, well, if God wants me to meet that person, God will put that person in my path. We've all heard that. We've all had that client. And there's a part of us that believes that, but there's another part of us that says, you know, like, help God out and meet some people. All right. Where are you honestly spending your time? This is where you want to be tracking it, and you want to have somebody to help be accountable to. Where are you honestly spending your time? One of the things that I recommend is that at the end of every day or at the beginning of every day from the day before, you write down the actions that you took, how many minutes they took, and start logging that, because you might be surprised. I was unaware of how much time I spent surfing the internet until I really spent some time tracking that. It's sort of like your food, you know. We're getting ready to have our in-person event in November 2nd. Those of you that have purchased the VIP pass to the Practice Building Conference have a ticket to the in-person event. It's going to be in Huntington Beach, California, and you can either attend live if we have some seats left. I think we have a few seats left. Or you can attend via simulcast, 3 days of me getting in your face. And by the end of those 3 days, if you're not inspired to build your practice, then I so have not done my job. But I can't wait. I haven't had an in-person event in about 3 years, I think. So very excited about this. But I have no idea why I was telling you that. Anyway, at the event, one of the things that we're really going to be talking about is sorting your time and making sure that you're spending your time and your money in ways that best serve you. Okay. So the other thing about, okay, so we've got, I'm mindful of the time. We've done energy, focus, time, now we're going to do money. Now money is the one that everybody tells me that they don't have enough of it. And Elise, my prosperity coach, Elise Killerin of choosingprosperity.com, if you're going to come to the Practice Building Conference, I cannot wait for you to hear her talk, because every time I talk to Elise, I have a money breakthrough. It's just wonderful. But one of the things that we talk about is the way people that have $1 million in the bank will tell you they don't feel comfortable until they have $2 million. All right, and people that have 50,000 will tell you they don't feel comfortable until they have 100,000. So a lot of times there's no end to what will make us feel comfortable and safe in our bank account. Choosingprosperity.com is my prosperity coach, Elise Killerin. And again, she's going to be at the Practice Building Conference talking about some practical solutions about how to resolve those old issues with money. And if we look at the way that we spend our money, all right, building your marketing budget needs to be a budget line item just as rent and phone are. It's equally as important, because you don't need the rent if you don't do the marketing and can't get the clients in. So I have been told that you can either spend 20% of my budget in marketing and coaching, 20% of my income. And I started out by saying I'm going to spend at least $1,000 a month until that became, 20% of my income, whatever. So you get to pick your number, but there needs to be a number there. And that money, 10 to 20% of your income, needs to go in two directions. So I spend 10% of it in things, whatever marketing activities I'm doing that I have checked out, that I'm focused on, that I feel would be the best bang for my buck and it makes sense. So for a long time, I did pay-per-click advertising, which Joe Bavanese is going to be talking about at the Practice Building Conference. If you want to hire a graphic designer to create a website, or a copywriter to write your copy for your website, that's money that you need to have budgeted in order to... See, the phone's ringing. We thought we were going to take the phones out of here. I guess we didn't. That is money that you need to have budgeted in order to spend it and feel comfortable knowing that that is an investment. The money that you spend in marketing is an investment. Todd Henry said one time, it's not like an ATM where you stick a credit card in, a card in, and out comes money. So it's not like I put money in my marketing budget and out comes client cash flow. All right? So that's the one thing. It's not like that. It's an investment like you're buying stocks or bonds and you're putting it away for the long haul. So I'm investing money in my practice, in myself, in my vision of helping people. I'm investing that over time, so that over time it's going to make sure that I make money off of it. So I spend half of that money, so I have 10 to 20% in my budget. I spend half of that money on my coach to make sure that I have business coaching and marketing coaching. I spend the other half on the marketing itself, like if I need somebody to build a website or something like that. So, and again, that will vary depending on my ideal client at the time, what the promotion is that I'm trying to market. So that changes ongoing. But I've always spent 10 to 20% of my income on marketing, and at least half of that, sometimes all of that, on making sure that I had good coaching. Now, what has that done for me? Here we are. I wouldn't be having the International Therapist Leadership Institute if that were not the case. Be a Wealthy Therapist wouldn't have been written were that not the case. I wouldn't have been able to have a full practice had I not been doing that from the very beginning. All right, or from almost the very beginning. I think I tried about a year on my own, and that wasn't so great. All right, so how you choose to spend your money, you want to look at return on investment. So the coaching part, like I said, you're not going to get an immediate return on investment. The other part where you're maybe doing dues, paying dues for a networking meeting, that's not going to necessarily pay immediately. But what you do want to look is return on investment for that money. So over a year, if I invest $371 in Business Network International or BNI chapter, how many clients am I likely to get, and what does an average client spend with me? So if I invest $400 a year in a networking group, and I get only 2 clients from it, and each client maybe comes 10 times for $100. Each client's $1,000. I invested $371 and some time, and I got $2,000 to $4,000 out of it. That's a great investment. That's the way we need to look at it. So before you buy another marketing program, I want you to look at, is the person who's running this helping me to filter out the information so that I can use my energy and focus and time in the best way? That's number one. And then number two, what is likely to be my return on investment? Now again, don't expect that return on investment like the ATM where that's going to come out in the next 27 seconds, all right? But over time, that is going to come back to you. It's kind of like buying a car. You pay a car payment every month, and then at the end you have the asset of the car. It's kind of like that. You're paying money into buying marketing training or marketing coaching, and over time, that's going to bring you money. So those are the 4 resources that I really want you to think about. And so the next time you're going to tell a story about how it's the economy, I want you to ask yourself, am I managing my energy in just the right way? Okay? Do I have the right people supporting me? What's my focus like? Am I taking the big picture view and then going back down and looking inside and doing tactical plans that make sense? Or pulling out and looking again at the big picture? Am I focusing in the right way, or am I just scattershot in terms of my marketing activities? What is my time like? Could I really give up the reruns of that sitcom that I used to watch for years and I know every word by heart? Could I give that up? Could I give up some of my self-care, even though self-care is important? Again, if you're spending half the time on your self-care and an hour, spending 4 hours a day on your self-care and an hour on marketing your practice, it's not going to work. It's back to like the gal who wants to lose 100 pounds and she says, you know what, I'm going to do something a little bit every day. I'm going to give up a regular Coke for a Diet Coke every day, and every little bit helps. I mentioned that to one of my friends this weekend, and he said, but in your natural span of your life, you may not live long enough to reach the goal. So take the time, put the time into it. People ask me how much time. Well, if you want 20 hours of clients a week, that tells me you're willing to spend 20 hours on your practice. If you've got 5 clients, that tells me you've got 15 hours a week. And a lot of you say, well, I don't now, but I'll get childcare. I will find the time when I want it. Find it now. That's how you're going to grow faster. I love it that you say you do a little bit each week and every little bit helps. But is that really going to get you to your vision? Is that really who you are as a business person? What is it you want and who you are? All right? So be honest with yourself. Track on a daily basis. What efforts did I do? How am I spending my time and money? Am I spending my time and money on ways that get me closer to getting clients or not? All right? And then act every day, track every day, be grateful every day, be inspired every day, and inspire someone else every day. That's my mission, and I share that with you, and I hope that's yours too. So first of all, I want to know if I met my job and if you found this a very thought-provoking call, and if you think you might be taking action based on some of the things we said, and if possible, that maybe the practice isn't where you want it to be yet because of some of the things we talked about today and the way that you're managing your energy, time, money, or focus. So I'm curious about that. We're getting some yeses in the chat. Thank you. And then I want to talk to you about the Practice Building Conference. Now, why am I bringing you a virtual conference with 20 speakers that seems like a ton of information? It could make me feel overwhelmed. It could make me feel like, why are you bringing me this? I already got a bunch of stuff from the Therapist Leadership Conference and the More Clients for Me, all of that kind of stuff. Here's why. First of all, these are the people that are going to inspire you. These are the people that inspire me. I've worked hard to get some of them. Some of them were easy because they were my coaches and colleagues, but some of them are really well known in this field and really volunteered once I told them about you guys and where you are. All right. Second, I've filtered this information for you. I've picked the people that I think you should listen to. Third, to reduce the overwhelm, what we did is we made sure some of these people were nuts and bolts people, and for those of you that buy the VIP full access package, you get my self-study course, which has the step-by-step instructions, so that during the conference, you can sit back and be inspired. And you get to listen to these for one whole year. So now you have your own success library. You have your own success library. And how much is it? We have them at all budget levels. We have $157 for the first 2 days. For the first week, it's $247, and for the 2 weeks, it's $297. And I want you to think about that. Let's take the highest one, $297. If you implemented just a couple of the things that you learned from that conference, think about what your return on investment could be. Plus, we got CEUs. Now, I'm sorry we don't have CEUs for psychologists because they won't allow practice building, and I know some of your licenses won't allow CEUs for practice building, but many, many, many of you, the ASWB, NBCC, California MFTs and LCSWs, MFTs in different parts of the world, not all of them, we do offer continuing education credits for. 20 of them. And the best part is you can take the test anytime throughout the whole year. So if you don't need the CEUs now, you can take them in 6 months when you might need them. All right. I have done everything I can to make this an affordable investment for you with spectacular content. We have Andrea Lee, my business coach, who's going to talk about, do you want to add coaching to your services? We have Jennifer Lee, not related, who wrote the Right Brain Business Plan. So for those of you that are finding some of my techniques a little anal, she's there to talk about how to draw pictures and create your business plan from that way. We have Michael Port, who's probably best known for Book Yourself Solid. An amazing guy, lots of content. Michael Bungay Stanier, who wrote the book Do More Great Work, who is my professional crush right now and is incredibly inspirational. PBC2011.com, PBC2011.com, or PracticeBuildingConference.com. Really, really great. We have transcripts also. We're paying somebody to sit there for hours and hours and write transcripts because many of you told us you would prefer to have it via transcripts. So we have audios, we have videos, replays for everything, and transcripts. Those of you who get the VIP All Access Pass will also get a 4-week subscription to our accountability program. This is going to be part of our Sapphire program, but you get it for free as part of that. So Trish says, I have a question, Casey. Each of these people has a business they want to sell to. Will there be enough info without having to buy more from these presenters? Absolutely, Trish. Here's the way it's worked in past years. Some of them are selling things. Others are doing this as a huge favor to me. I've asked them not to promote on the call. I do, though, if I believe in them, I will tell you about their services, and then you can decide if you want to go forward. Now, you will learn some from the people that are teaching nuts and bolts. Yes, you will learn some things that you can go do immediately. My goal is that in each one of these, you learn something that you can go and do immediately. Now, if you want to go deeper, then yeah, you may choose to hire somebody else. But that's not the goal. This is what we call a no-hype conference. I'm the only one allowed to hype them. That's my deal with them. Yeah, as Summer says, it's not a pitch fest. And Summer, it's funny that you say that because in the invitation to the speakers, that is what I say. I say, I will tell them about your website. You are not allowed to do that. And if you want that, then please don't do that. We actually have a goodie bag that has some things that many of them have donated. Not all, but many of them have donated to help you with that. I know Jennifer Lee in the Right Brain Business Plan has given you some sheets that you can fill out based on her book. So you don't have to buy her book. You can, although she shows you her book in our call, you can actually see the sheets. So if you're thinking about how could I take 297 and turn that into multiples of thousands, then just think about the Practice Building Conference. I'm not going to guarantee you that would happen, but I can tell you that the people who do what we say, whether it's the self-study course and my techniques, or whether it's each one of these speakers that I bring to you, if you do that, you're going to get the clients that you want. And I intentionally chose speakers this time that were part nuts and bolts and part inspirational, because I know some of you may already have a pretty good practice and you don't really want a lot more techniques. You just want to be inspired to keep doing what you're called here to do. So Jill says, I got long-term benefits from last year's conference. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of people saying that. Right now I'm getting emails from people saying, I went to last year's conference, I implemented some of the things that I learned. You won't implement them all. You can't. But let's say you implemented some of them, even 2, 3, 4. That gets you a half a practice or a full practice. I mean, think about that. All right. Now, this goes back to what I was telling you earlier. Humans will seek the path of least resistance. I've tried to make this as resistance-free as possible, okay? I'll be honest with you. We're not making a whole lot of money on this because, as you're probably aware, I have a big team to support. We have the live stream bills, which are pretty extensive in terms of getting this information to you. We've spent the last 3 months interviewing the speakers and getting them. So there's a lot of time and effort involved in this. We're selling it almost at our cost, maybe just a little bit more than our cost, because I think it is important that you invest in yourself. And you know this too. You know that there's some clients who can do pro bono therapy with you and do well. But many of them, when they invest in themselves, they do better. And I want you to invest in yourself. I think that's important. And I believe in you. And I'm not going to meet you anymore in this fear of abundance or this fear of success place, in this poverty place. I'm not going to meet you there. You're a business owner, and I'm going to treat you like that. So I hope you'll join me at practicebuildingconference.com, pbc2011.com. And again, I don't know how many we have left. We have at least, I think, 10 seats left for in-person for the November 2nd event. Because not only do you get the Practice Building Conference, you get the 3-day in-person event, whether you want to come and hug me live and be able to hang out with me there live, or in Huntington Beach, California, or you can join us live on the simulcast where Jeremy Miller and our team will be broadcasting live just like this, although we'll be in a hotel. Not a hotel room, hotel ballroom. We'll be doing a big presentation. So Amber says, yes, we have 10 live seats open. So that's what I thought it was from this morning. So pbc2011.com, and especially if you want to get in on that live seat. And I hope that you'll I hope you're taking away something. So can you put in the chat for me what you're taking away from today's call about marketing is work, and about there are few people that are willing to do what is required to have that dream. And that's where you want to align your actions with your dream, because I want that for you. My heart is with you. You know that. Okay, I've been here all this time. So let's see. So Trish is saying, weekly questions that lead to my daily actions. Focus on my resources. And then don't forget, we have 2 more presentations coming up. One of them the next one is going to be an encore replay of Juliet Austin talking about social media, because that always confuses me. So I wanted to hear it again, so we're going to play it again for you. And then we're also going to have another call with Sarah Robinson, who some of you may have heard last year at the Practice Building Conference, who's going to be talking about blogging. And that's an interest I know for many of you. So very excited. Replays of all of the preview calls will be there too. So Kim says, why am I doing this activity? To help her focus, to ask that question. So next time you want to throw out one of those answers like, I don't have enough time, or I'm too tired, or I don't know what to do, or I don't have the money, I can't afford it right now. I want you to go back and look through some of the questions that we asked you today, and then see how you want to answer those questions. And again, I am not tied to how you choose to spend any of those personal natural resources. But I want you to be honest with yourself. Just like the lady who wants to lose 100 pounds but has cake for dinner. I mean, that's an entire cake for dinner. We know that her actions aren't aligned with what she wants. Let's get yours aligned. I love you guys in a very, very special way. Mwah. Okay, so I'm going to stay on the chat for a couple of minutes if you guys have questions, and I know some of you need to leave. So Shirley says, thank you. Dave says, thank you for challenging those fears and resistance. Giving is the best resource. Okay, I have great ideas now about investing my time and money in my work and my dreams and my calling. All right, so God bless you. Make it a wonderful day. Be inspired and inspire somebody else. All right, I love you guys. Bye-bye. pbc2011.com. Be there.